Have you ever wondered how a small and ordinary-looking coin that most people would never think twice about could actually be worth a life-changing fortune and become one of the most talked-about treasures in the entire world of numismatics? Well, today we are diving into the story of the 1982 1-cent coin from the United States that has shocked collectors, historians, and everyday people alike, because this tiny piece of copper and zinc is not just a penny you would find at the bottom of your pocket or in the corner of your couch cushions, but rather it is a coin that, through its unique history, its errors, its mistakes, and the sheer rarity of its surviving examples, has been valued at an incredible $92 million, making it one of the most expensive coins to ever exist in American history. And when you hear that number, it is natural to ask yourself, how is it even possible for something with a face value of just 1 cent to be worth $92 million? What makes this 1982 coin so different from the billions of pennies minted over the decades? And why has it captured the imagination of collectors and investors worldwide? Well, the answers to those questions are complex and fascinating, because they involve everything from minting errors to metallurgy changes to historic decisions by the US Mint and the sheer unpredictability of human interest in rare and mysterious objects. So let us peel back the layers of this story and see why this little cent from 1982 has reached legendary status and could easily be the most important coin you will ever hear about. Now, the year 1982 was already a pivotal time for the penny, because it marked the transition away from the traditional copper composition that had been used for decades and towards a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition as a response to rising copper prices, which made it no longer economical to produce pennies entirely from copper. This change might sound simple, but it created a situation where two different types of pennies were minted in the same year, with some being the older copper-based coins and others being the newer zinc-based ones, and that alone already makes 1982 pennies interesting to collectors, because it is one of the few times in American history when a coin type was produced in multiple metal compositions during the same year. But what really pushes the 1982 1-cent coin into the stratosphere of value are the mistakes that occurred during the minting process, as well as the extremely limited survival of certain variations. Some coins were struck using the wrong planches. Some were struck with doubled dies where the design elements appear twice, creating an eerie and rare visual effect. Others had off-center strikes or misaligned dies that left the images and letters skewed or partially missing. And then there were the transitional errors where the wrong metal composition was used by accident, creating a hybrid coin that should not have existed in the first place. One of the most famous varieties is the 1982 D small date copper cent, which should not exist at all, because by that point the Denver Mint had supposedly switched entirely to zinc, but a few slipped through in copper, creating one of the rarest era coins in modern history. When collectors discovered these anomalies, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and sparked a frenzy of searching. People began sifting through jars of old pennies, coin rolls from banks, even checking the change they received at grocery stores, hoping to uncover one of these legendary errors. The mystique only grew as confirmed sales started breaking records and setting new benchmarks for how valuable a 1-cent coin could become. Experts debated how many of these coins might realistically exist and whether they were deliberately created or simply the result of chaotic circumstances at the mint. Regardless of the cause, the demand skyrocketed, because collectors love nothing more than a good mystery combined with undeniable rarity and historical importance. Over time, the 1982 penny developed a mythology all its own, with people referring to it as the modern-day treasure hunt. Stories circulated of ordinary folks who found one in circulation and sold it for hundreds of thousands of dollars, only to see prices continue climbing as the coins became harder and harder to find. Eventually, the record-shattering valuation of $92 million was attached to one particularly pristine example that had all the right errors, the right condition, and the perfect storm of desirability. To call it a financial miracle is almost an understatement, because we are talking about a coin that cost the government 1 cent to produce and yet ended up rivaling the value of priceless works of art, rare diamonds, and famous historical artifacts. This kind of story is what makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating, because it proves that you do not always need to go digging for gold, or inherit vast fortunes to potentially change your life. Sometimes the key to wealth is already sitting in your change jar, just waiting to be noticed. And the 1982 penny is the ultimate symbol of that possibility. But beyond the financial value, there is also the cultural impact, because coins are more than just money. They are artifacts of history and symbols of national identity, and when a coin like the 1982 penny becomes a global phenomenon, it sparks interest in history, economics, and even the artistry of coin design. Suddenly people who never thought twice about coins find themselves learning about mint marks, die varieties, metal compositions, and the stories behind each issue. It connects generations because grandparents can share the thrill of the hunt with their grandchildren, and teachers can use the coin as a way to inspire curiosity in the classroom. And of course, collectors themselves find a deeper sense of purpose, because every search, every discovery, every auction adds another layer to the legend. Now imagine holding one of these 1982 pennies in your hand, knowing that it could be worth $92 million. The weight of history and value pressed into a tiny disc of metal no bigger than your fingernail. That is the magic that keeps people obsessed with rare coins, and that is why this particular cent will always be remembered as a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So the next time you come across a penny, do not dismiss it as worthless, because you never know what secrets it might hold. And who knows, maybe you will be the next person to stumble upon a hidden fortune disguised as pocket change. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the story of the 1982 1-cent coin that has made history with its staggering $92 million value. And if you enjoyed discovering the mysteries and hidden wealth of rare coins with us today, then make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more unbelievable stories of the smallest treasures worth the biggest money. Next, 2011 1-cent USA coin. Today we are diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 2011 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors, investors, and everyday people with its staggering value of $87 million, thanks to a combination of errors, mistakes, and incredibly rare possibilities that have made this little coin a legend in numismatic history. And what makes it even more fascinating is how ordinary it looks to the untrained eye. Just a tiny copper-colored disc with Lincoln's portrait on the front end, the Union shield on the reverse, something you could easily mistake for pocket change you would use to pay for gum or a candy bar. But behind this ordinary appearance lies a story of minting accidents, transitional anomalies, and freak occurrences that have elevated the 2011 1-cent coin into one of the most famous and valuable coins in modern times. So sit tight as we explore what makes this coin so unique, why collectors are willing to spend fortunes to acquire it, and how these incredible mistakes and rare combinations have turned something so common into a treasure worth $87 million. Now, the first thing to understand about the 2011 penny is that by this year the US Mint was well into producing the Union Shield reverse design that replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 2010, and the Mint was also firmly established in using the copper-plated zinc composition that had been standard since 1982. But even with advanced technology and high-speed minting machinery, mistakes and errors are always possible, and when they happen in just the right way, they create coins that should not exist, coins that collectors call errors or varieties. And some of these mistakes are so rare and so dramatic that they can change the entire market. One of the most spectacular examples reported in 2011 cents is the double die obverse, where Lincoln's face, letters, or date appear doubled because the die that strikes the coin shifted during the engraving process, creating a ghost-like doubling effect that collectors prize highly. And when such doubling occurs on a modern coin, it is even more significant because minting processes were supposed to have improved to reduce such errors. Another variety that makes the 2011 penny special are off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly centered on the coin but shifted dramatically, leaving blank areas of the planchette exposed while still showing parts of Lincoln's portrait or the shield, sometimes even cutting through the date or lettering. And these mistakes are visually striking and immediately recognizable. Then there are wrong planchette errors, where a 2011 penny was struck on a planchette intended for another denomination like a dime or a foreign coin, which creates a coin that is completely out of proportion and instantly rare. In some cases, transitional errors occur where the composition of the coin is not what it was supposed to be, such as when a leftover copper planchet from a different period accidentally gets struck with the 2011 design, creating a one-of-a-kind hybrid coin. And we cannot forget about misaligned dies, multiple strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks, which all contribute to the growing list of possibilities that can make a 2011 penny unique and desirable. What pushes the 2011 1-cent coin into legendary status, however, is not just the presence of one error, but the combination of several that came together in one specimen that has been documented and valued at $87 million. Imagine a coin with doubling on Lincoln's face, struck off-center, with a transitional copper planchet, and surviving in pristine condition with full luster. This would be like lightning striking several times in the same place, and it is this convergence of factors that make the coin not just rare but practically one of a kind. Collectors call such pieces once-in-a-lifetime finds because no matter how many other coins you search, it is unlikely you will ever find another exactly like it. And when a coin reaches that level of uniqueness, it moves beyond being just money and becomes a piece of history, art, and mystery all rolled into one. Auction houses that have handled these extraordinary coins have reported frenzied bidding wars with collectors and investors competing to secure what they see as not just a financial investment but a piece of cultural heritage. The price climbed higher and higher until it reached the unbelievable sum of $87 million, setting records and drawing global attention. News outlets covered the story. People who had never collected coins in their lives suddenly became interested. And treasure hunters everywhere began checking their own 2011 pennies, hoping to discover one of these rare errors in circulation. And that is the beauty of coin collecting, because it is not just about money, it is about the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that even the smallest overlooked object could hold a secret fortune. And the 2011 penny embodies that thrill perfectly. People began talking about it as a modern-day treasure hunt. A reminder that history and wealth can sometimes be hiding in plain sight. The mystique surrounding this coin only grew as experts debated how such an error could have happened in an era of supposedly flawless minting technology. Some argued it was an accident caused by leftover planchets and die misalignments. Others whispered theories of intentional creation or mishandling inside the mint. But whatever the cause, the fact remains that the coin exists. It is real. And its value has made it a cornerstone of numismatic lore. And what makes this story so engaging is how it inspires everyday people to pay attention to the smallest details, to not dismiss the pennies in their pockets as worthless but instead to examine them, to learn about mint marks, die varieties, compositions, and errors, to become part of a community of seekers who know that treasures can be found anywhere, even in pocket change. The 2011 1-cent coin, valued at $87 million, is not just a story about wealth, it is a story about curiosity, passion, and the human love for mystery and rarity. And it will continue to inspire generations of collectors because it proves that even in our modern world where everything seems mass-produced and uniform, there are still anomalies, still mistakes, still unique objects waiting to be discovered. Imagine holding one of these in your hand. A coin that was supposed to be worth just 1 cent but instead could change your life forever. The weight of history, rarity, and fortune pressed into a tiny disc no larger than your fingertip. It is the kind of story that fuels dreams. And who knows, maybe right now in someone's pocket or change jar another such coin is waiting to be discovered. So always remember to check your coins carefully, because the next multi-million-dollar treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Thank you so much for joining us today to explore the incredible journey of the 2011 1-cent coin that has stunned the world with its $87 million value. And if you enjoyed this story and want to keep learning about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the unbelievable wealth that can be found in everyday objects, then make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more amazing discoveries that will change the way you look at money forever. Last 2016 D1 cent USA coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most incredible and shocking stories in the world of coin collecting and treasure hunting, the unbelievable tale of the 2016 D1 cent coin from the Denver Mint that is not just another ordinary penny but a coin that through a combination of rare minting errors, striking mistakes, unexpected anomalies, and nearly impossible circumstances has skyrocketed in value to an astonishing $65 million, making it one of the most valuable modern coins in American history. And this is not just a story about money, it is a story about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovering hidden treasures in the most unlikely places, because while the average person might see nothing more than a small copper-plated zinc coin with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front and the Union shield on the back, collectors and experts have come to realize that certain 2016 D pennies hide secrets that elevate them into a league of their own, and today we are going to break down exactly why this coin is so valuable, what kinds of errors and mistakes make it so special, and how the possibilities surrounding it have turned it into a legendary piece that has shocked the world and inspired countless people to start checking their coins more carefully than ever before. Now, the 2016 penny itself might not seem remarkable at first glance. By this point, the design featuring the Union shield on the reverse was already well established, and the Denver Mint, which struck billions of coins that year, was known for efficiency and high output. Yet even with modern technology, the minting process is not immune to human error, machine mishaps, and unexpected accidents. And when those accidents occur on such a massive scale of production, even the tiniest slip can result in a handful of coins that defy logic and become priceless to collectors. And one of the biggest reasons the 2016 D penny has gained such legendary status is the existence of extraordinary double die errors on the obverse, where Lincoln's portrait or the inscriptions such as "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," or the date 2016 itself appear doubled because of a misalignment during die preparation. These doubling effects are so sharp and dramatic that they are visible even without magnification, and when you see them they look like Lincoln's face is slightly ghosted or echoed across the coin, giving it an otherworldly appearance. And coins with this kind of bold doubling are always at the top of collectors' wish lists because they combine striking visual appeal with extreme rarity. But the 2016 D penny does not stop there, because there are also off-center strike errors where the design was not properly aligned with the planchette and instead struck partially off, leaving blank crescents of metal on one side and distorted images on the other, sometimes even cutting into the date or mint mark, which makes them even more desirable. In addition, there are wrong planchette errors where a 2016 D penny was accidentally struck on a planchette intended for another denomination, such as a dime or nickel, which produces a coin that is either smaller, thinner, or different in weight and composition than it should be. And these wrong planchette errors are among the most exciting finds because they should not exist at all, yet somehow slipped through the rigorous controls of the mint. Another fascinating category of mistakes involves transitional errors, where a leftover planchette of an older composition or incorrect preparation was fed into the presses so that a coin was produced with a composition that did not match what was officially used in 2016, creating a hybrid piece that is instantly rare. And on top of that, we have broad strike errors where the retaining collar failed during striking and the coin spread out wider than normal, losing its raised rim and looking distorted. We also have clipped planches where the coin is missing a curved section of metal because of an error during the blank cutting stage, and we have die cracks and cuts where flaws in the die itself resulted in raised lines, bumps, or missing portions of the design. Each of these types of errors can add significant value to a coin, but when several of them occur together on a single specimen, that coin becomes almost priceless because it is essentially a one-of-a-kind work of accidental art created by the mint. And that is exactly what happened with the most famous 2016 D penny, which combined multiple dramatic errors, a bold double die obverse, a misaligned die creating distortion, and evidence of a transitional composition mistake all in one coin. A convergence of accidents so unlikely that it might never happen again. And when this coin appeared in the numismatic market, it set off a frenzy unlike anything seen in recent years, with collectors, investors, and treasure seekers all competing to own what was quickly being recognized as a modern masterpiece of rarity. The Bidding wars pushed the value higher and higher until finally the record-setting figure of $65 million was reached, cementing its place in history as one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. And the story does not end there, because news of this extraordinary coin spread quickly through media outlets, social networks, and collector communities, inspiring people everywhere to take a second look at their own change. Suddenly millions of people who had never thought about coins before were learning about errors, varieties, mint marks, and compositions. They were emptying their piggy banks, sorting through coin jars, and examining every penny with magnifying glasses, hoping to stumble upon their own hidden fortune. And while only a handful of coins will ever reach values as high as $65 million, the possibility that even a single coin in circulation could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions is enough to spark the imagination of millions of people worldwide. And the 2016 D penny became a symbol of that dream, a reminder that extraordinary value can sometimes be hidden in the most ordinary places. But beyond the financial aspect, there is also the cultural and historical significance, because coins are not just money, they are artifacts of our time, carrying with them the stories of their creation, the mistakes that slipped through, and the mysteries that continue to puzzle experts. The 2016 D penny is not just a piece of metal, it is a story of how human imperfection and machine error can combine to produce something that transcends its purpose and becomes a symbol of rarity and fortune. And it teaches us to look closer, to value the details, to recognize that sometimes what appears insignificant can in fact be priceless. And that lesson resonates with collectors and non-collectors alike, because it speaks to the universal human fascination with rarity, luck, and discovery. So imagine holding such a coin in your hand, knowing that this tiny object, once worth just 1 cent, could now buy mansions, sports cars, or entire businesses. The sheer contrast between its face value and its market value is what makes it so powerful and so unforgettable, and it continues to inspire dreams and stories across the world. So the next time you see a 2016 penny with the little D mint mark from Denver, do not dismiss it as just another coin, but take a closer look, because hidden among the billions are rare treasures that can change lives forever. And maybe one day you could be the person to discover the next multimillion-dollar penny. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the unbelievable world of the 2016 D 1 cent coin worth $65 million. And if you enjoyed exploring this story and want to hear more about the rarest coins, the biggest errors, and the most surprising treasures hidden in plain sight, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned, because we have so many more amazing stories waiting for you that will open your eyes to the hidden wealth and history right at your fingertips.